The final speaker of the day is from Togo. She was born in Togo. She was raised in Paris. She is a graduate of Sciences Po, Institut d'études politiques de Paris, of Harvard Kennedy School. And she graduated about 10 years ago and worked in New York at France Telecom Orange for a few years. And for the past 2 years, she has been the Minister of Post and Telecom in Togo, which is my native country as well. Cina Lawson was recently named a Young Global Leader for the World Economic Forum in the class of 2012. And it is my great honor to introduce her and to talk about some of the challenges and opportunities in the telecom and technology sector in the tiny nation state of Togo, West Africa.
Thank you, Claude. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Well, I'm very honored to be here. So, oh, okay. Let me see here. So briefly, it's not very structured. Sorry, because I just want to go through some themes that I thought were interesting, such as data center management, content, the necessity of having local content, and also mobile communications. Let me just talk this slide, I don't even want to spend time because there's nothing new, okay? We're talking about digital divide, you know this type of slide by heart. So this is Togo. And because we're a small country, we are pretty well, we have a very, we're well covered as far as fiber networks are concerned, because it wasn't so difficult and so expensive to deploy fiber in the country. So this slide is just impossible to read. Basically, I looked at different sectors, and I identified few problems. The problem that we see today in Togo and in Ghana also, and Benin, is that lots of large businesses have to build their own data center, and to manage their own, they have to manage a data center because there is no offering. They have to, they spend large amounts of money training people for IT, and basically it's becoming a problem for them, because they would be willing to pay for this type of service, but they don't find the right companies for them to host their data. And so in terms of issues that we have identified, I'm not focusing on infrastructure, because in terms of infrastructure, let me just go to this slide. I mean, I had this, I don't know if you can actually read these slides. I don't want to focus on infrastructure very much, because if you look at Togo and other countries in West Africa, they've been investing a lot in infrastructure, being fiber networks and wireless type of infrastructure. And what we have and what we're seeing is the price of bandwidth going rapidly down. And so the reason why I want to say this is that the first opportunity that I see is data center management. First, like I mentioned, all the public administration needs digital archiving, and we don't know how to do it, okay? And we don't know where to store the data. And if you look at the type of things, the type of offerings that would work, it would be maybe a public-private type of partnerships where the government would feel secure to hand over data to a private company because they have some kind of a joint venture so my point is we need digital archives, but we don't have the knowledge to do it. And so this is a great opportunity for any company or any service provider to enter this market. And it's true for Togo, it's true for, I want to say all African countries, because pretty much today, a lot of the data is under a paper form. And same for, same for businesses and who wants to store data. One example that I wanted to take, because I think that it's something that I have seen in many countries, is that with the pressure of international donors, countries were forced to develop biometric cards for election systems. You have your card when you're going to vote, and it's a biometric card. And so what used to happen was that for any major elections, the government would acquire the equipment and register everyone they could who was over 18. And but over the course of the years, they figured out that, hey, we have all this data on people. We may do something, we may do something of value with it. And we do have now the knowledge of how to use and how to register people, which is very easy. And so the reason why I see the development of biometric cards and ID system as an opportunity is that, again, all the data that you store, that you collect on people needs to be stored somewhere. And today, the way it's stored is not a secure way, and there are lots of offerings that can come out of having possession over owning this data. And the government and many other governments would be willing to share part of this data with a company that would come with the right business model. You know that in West Africa, the public sector has a lot of problems because you have lots of fake civil servants who are registered as civil servants and don't go to work, or you have, but the government continues to pay them, not being able to have a secure list of these guys. And so what many countries have done and are in the process of doing right now is to give every civil servant a biometric card so that they would be sure that to one card or one number corresponds one person. But they want to move one step further. They want to use this card for access control, to be able to know who is going to work and who is not going to work. Because in lots of places, because civil servants are not so well paid, and because for historical reasons or the lack of good organizations, you have lots of civil servants who don't go to work, but they continue to get paid. Or in Togo, for example, we want to extend this biometric system to students in universities, because for a long time, any student at the university would get a scholarship. And what happened was that you would have people register as students, and then, every year, and they would not go, they wouldn't take any class, and the government would continue to pay them to give them scholarships, which, was terrible for our budget. And the reason, the way we're in the process of solving this, this problem is that we're going to put biometric card readers, in every, on the campus, in every building, and any student which wants to benefit from scholarship is we have to use his card to show that he attended a particular class. Office belongs to is a state-owned post office, and it's been profitable, the past 3 to 4 years because of a very clever strategy. They wanted to go beyond just the distribution of parcels. And what they did, and they wanted to extend to basic banking services. I'm talking about savings, nothing fancy. And so the issue was, how can we develop banking services when you have all these employees who are not banking experts or IT experts? So they decided that they were going to use cloud computing. They basically linked all the 80 post offices of the country to the internet, and to a data center based in the capital city, in Lomé. And so every post office they have computers, and and every post agent has a computer with very basic and very simple user interface. And so you come to the post office, you want to deposit money. First of all, it's all with images, okay? So it's very easy to use. And he doesn't need to have any knowledge, because all the informations are actually treated in the capital city, where you have a small group of people doing the actual work. And so what they do is that they use the computer as just a thin client. It's just the screen. And I thought that was a very interesting, example, because in lots of countries, there are lots of people who are not computer literate. And to train all these people is going to take a long time, and we don't have that kind of time. So when you have applications such as cloud computing, where everything is, comes down to a very simple user interface, with even, computers just showing very basic information, you have people who don't have to be expert, who can now offer services that that it would have taken years for them to learn, or to become literate in terms of IT. The third opportunity I see is PC, this new business model, PC as a service. The PC as a service is based upon, so there are two things. In terms of what is PC as a service, there was an initiative called Connect to Learn, which is funded by Ericsson, Intel, and what they did is that they basically used basic computers that they transformed into thin clients, and they give it to some students who would have access to a particular set of data. Okay, and their computers, the computers weren't, how would I express this? With PC as a service, your computer doesn't matter. What matters is the information you have access to through a basic PC. And because it's used as a thin client, any basic PC, because the processing power is in the cloud, you can use any basic PC to have access to advanced type of applications. I don't know how clear I am with this, but what is the take as far as PC as a service is concerned? The another opportunity I see has to do with mobile payment. I figured that I couldn't talk about telecoms without talking about mobile, because a lot of people always mention mobile and mobile payment, you know, when talking about Africa. And so, where are the opportunities as far as mobile? Is concerned, aside from the usual opportunities, I thought that we really needed to think about near-field communications, you know, contactless applications, I mean, contactless payment. In lots of our countries, and if you think, for example, of a toll road, we have cash-based economies. So you take the road and you have a toll road, and you pay, say, 100 or 200 CFA francs. Then the person who receives the 200 CFA francs at the end of the week or the month is going to give this amount to his boss. But before giving the amount to his boss, he's going to take a percentage for himself, okay? And so he takes a percentage, he gives the rest to the boss. The boss does the same thing, he takes a percentage, he gives the rest to whomever. And then when you look at, and at the end of let's say the food chain, you have one, you know, you have maybe the government that is going to collect an amount which is equivalent to 50% of what it should have collected, right? Because on every step, every step of the chain, people take whatever percentage. And so one way to solve this is to use, you know, an NFC type of system whereby you take your toll road, you have a reader, you just put your phone, and there you go, you pay for whatever you have to pay for, and the amount goes directly into the treasury account. So having said that, really, I have not said anything. I mean, this is very basic. But there are problems. I mean, NFC does exist today, but there are problems with implementing NFC in Africa. One of the problems is that the way NFC has been set up in lots of developed countries is that it's linked with your credit card or your bank account. So you could go in Europe and go to any machine and buy your Diet Coke, you know, with your phone. But because there is somewhere in the SIM card stored your Visa number. So how do you use NFC in an environment where people don't have bank account and don't have credit cards? And so the difficulty, and this is an opportunity for a good, you know, developer or, you know, a bright student. So the difficulty is to create a system, and I don't know the extent to which this is going to be easy for you to read. And so this is going to be, I think, this is going to be big. My last point, I think, is creation of local content. You know, every time that I have to say this type of things, I'm not too comfortable because it's the same old. I mean, you didn't come to this conference to hear that we needed to create local content. Do you have questions for me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for taking time out of your